Today's video is going to be about man's arc of horizon as opposed to the vertical vortex of creation and the duality of our realm, as above so below, connecting the stars with the human body. As I've stated plenty of times before in my previous videos, man is of the earth, so we run parallel with the system, the earthly system. Our body works the same. Obviously we're two different entities, but everything runs parallel. So I'm just going to explain a few things, or run over a few things, because I've spoken about them before, but just to make it very clear, it's easy to explain actually. Understanding the seven wandering stars. And these seven wandering stars are the main entities of creation. You're the Sun, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury and the Sun. That's seven wandering stars. So, and you've got the Sun at the top and the Moon at the bottom. They are separated because of the duality of our system. The Sun and the Moon are one, they're male and female. So you go back to singularity, they become one. They condense back down, just like a, what do you call them? Not a piano accordion, but the other thing. Squeeze box. It's just like the black hole. We imagine it like this, a black hole, but basically it's flat lined. So half of it's all metaphysics. You've got to imagine it in your mind. This whole realm is of the mind. So understanding that man is the same. We have a pineal gland in the head. We just that basic, take our head actually, then you take our sacrum, the lower region. The sacrum represents the moon. It has 8 holes in that sacrum down there, and if you understand the esoteric knowledge, myths, legends, whatever you want to call them, you know, they deal with 8 phases of the moon. There's 8 specific phases in the moon that affect all life on earth. And so you've got the moon down there, so the sacrum represents the moon. And up here it represents the sun. The pineal gland is connected to the sun. That's the son of man. Pineal gland, light of man, son of man, coming out of the water into the light. Coming out of the cave, you could say, into the light. So this is our system, you see. And then you have to understand the vertical vortex across at the center of creation, but seen horizontally over man's arc of horizon. So that the center vortex of creation is like this. An S-curve, 3D S-curve, there's the horizon of the black hole. This is the black hole. But, I mean, that's how you draw it, but really it's just flat line. A singularity. Everything is in there. It's a mystery. So, but you can see it like this because that's how we can relate to it in the physical world. All the stars take this journey up and down again over the 24 hours. Everything in here is reflected out into our realm. So this is the vortex of creation, which is the hyperboloid center of the toroidal field. And then the field comes out like this, all around it, right? And there's the flat plane of inertia. That's where Earth is. So Earth, our realm has been expressed out from the center. So everything in here now is out in our realm, seen like this. But we don't see it on an earthly scale because it's not the way creation works. It works on a personal dome of horizon, a personal arc of horizon. Man will always be zenith, or 90 degrees to a zenith, as he sees the world around him. So basically this is blue shift around here. So you can take him as being the sun in the centre of the ecliptic plane. So there's the ecliptic plane, centre circle. The sun is on the centre, the inner track, because that's the black hole there. So that's the X. Then you have all the other planets on their tracks individually, all the way out here. And all the way out there we say that's the full moon out here. There's the sun in there, there's the moon. And it's separated by the 5 wandering stars. This is the same as man. See, man, there's his body, there's his feet. That's the sacrum down here. Well, it's actually drawn the other way. That's represented the moon. That's like his tailbone is connected with the earth. That pineal gland is connected to the greater universe. It's not awake. We are born into darkness. We do not have our soul activated. We all have a soul because that soul passes through each cycle of life. But you keep recycling until you activate your soul. Raise the kundalini up through your 5 wandering chakras, stars, kundalini, whatever you want to call it, up the top of the mountain. This is what we have on an earthly scale. So you can imagine you're the sun. But anyway, it's the other way around with creation. Like you've got the moon on the slower cycle down here. Then you have Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And at the top, on top of the mountain, what have we got? We've always got the sun. Christ is at the top. There's the sun. This is why Saturn's associated with the goat, because he's walks over the mountaintops, the goat. These are so you've got the 7, the moon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets, main planets, and the sun. I don't know anything about Uranus or Pluto. Uranus, it just doesn't come into their creation story. I'll get round to getting into it one day. I mean, I know it's in Greek mythology there, but it's not to do, they might have come later. Because each of these could actually represent, no, I don't know. No, so I'll get into those planets later, but you've got to understand, this is how we see our realm. So we look through, these are frequency bands, the whole light spectrum is looking through here to see the pure white light at the top. And the full moon is down here. The moon wanders in a spiral, but like this over the month. It goes around every day, but in a month it does a spiral like this. Spirals all the way back up into the face of the sun. The face of the sun would be opposite the black hole. The sun is always reflecting across the black hole, so the new moon would be right here, opposite the sun. And it's always turning, the sun is always turning around the hole. The turning sun, that's the electrical, the turning sun creates a changing magnetic field over the earth. Here's the changing magnetic field there, south to the Tropic of Capricorn. Comes out of the north, changes at Cancer, where they come down and shoot through the earth and go into the opposite poles. That's a changing magnetic field, thanks to a moving electrical field. But it's a changing magnetic field that feeds the moving electrical field. It's all in physics, electrical engineering, whatever. You can't dispute it. It's so in your face now, I've explained it. You only have to believe it. Why is it so hard? So we've ruined the globe, but other flat earthers aren't getting it out there. I don't know why. I don't see how they can't understand this. They know their physics or electrical engineering. The dielectric gap, the gap between the stator and the rotor and the stator, the central It's the rotor in the middle, isn't it? Rotor and the stator around the outside. It's the same thing. You have the little gap, the gap between the two. Tesla knew all about this, the induction motor. So, this is how we see everything. This is man's arc of horizon. And so he only sees so far. You know, it could only be 100k or whatever, or 2, depending on what sort of lights, what's in his view. But everything is of the light, so it's all quite deceiving. Can vary in distance, depending what's on the picture. But you're seeing everything like this. So everything passes over you like this. It's not going around horizontally, it's passing over you. But in the overall picture it's going around horizontally. So you can imagine it going horizontally around the flat earth, east to west, right? But this is how we see it. So you could basically consider us as miniature suns. We're all individual suns, the Son of Man. So this is why none of these bodies should change size. It just depends on your atmospheric conditions, really, because as they pass over there, they're not changing size, are they? They're all perpendicular to the observer. You're right there. Why would anything change size as it moves over equal distance to you at all times? Perpendicular to the arc. So this is the whole religious story, Christ at the top. Esoteric stuff about the goat out there in Saturn, representing December, Saturn, and that sort of thing. The summer solstice for the southern hemisphere. Saturn. So creation's the opposite, you see. It's just like what we know about magnetism and electricity. They're perpendicular to each other, aren't they? Magnetism, electrical. Well, this is magnetic. This is the first principle. This is the alpha. First principle, alpha. Snakehead up here. That's the magnetic. That's the female. See, the female. And then you've got the male that comes in, which is the Milky Way. It comes into it. And the sun's in there. The sun's electrical. Over here, see, magnetic. The vortex, magnetic. And what's created in this dielectric gap is the sun, the electrical, which is attached back here. Because back in creation is where if you can imagine the sun, the real sun is actually created back here. But we see its image out here in the tropics. Everything out here is a blown up image of what's right back in here in creation. Could be smaller than the size of an apple. The actual plasma of the sun. But we see the images out here. So nothing out here in our realm, nothing celestial could ever hurt man. It's all non-physical. It's all based on frequencies and tuned to your eyeballs. So without your eyeballs, you know, it's pretty hypothetical saying that, but without your eyeballs, nothing's there. Obviously, if you can't see it, you can't see it, but it's all tuned to your eyeballs. The black hole of creation is tuned to your pupil, your black hole. Just like any cell tower is tuned to another cell tower. If you want to get a frequency from one tower to the other, or one satellite dish to another, land-based dish. So it's understanding the duality of our realm, as above, so below. Man's system and the earthly system. You can't deny it all. So when a time comes, the moon has an effect on the earth, right? Well, there's the earth. You don't have to be standing on the earth. It's in bed when it happens. The main event of man is divine awakening. It comes through the earth, but it's a celestial alignment from above. So the sun's on the other side of the world, so it's basically opposite. The sun and the moon opposite each other, and so you can imagine they're opposite each other, and the magic is happening between them, like lightning or something. It's at this stage that affects the man awakening. So the moon being in the man's moon sign. So you see, you could divide that up to like the 12 zodiac signs. Where's the full moon? Is that your full moon there, or your full moon? Which zodiac sign is it in? At the same time, because what's happening is a big secret of mine. I didn't let out, but I'll tell you now. Is because they both end up in the Milky Way. That's the tomb. Lost in the tomb for 3 days means your moon sign is in there, like the Jesus story, Pisces. It was in the 2.5 days. The moon is in Pisces, but being in the tomb, in the manger, Jesus was born in the manger, means the enlightened one. That's the old Jesus story. In the manger. So it's when the Milky Way, which is basically an umbilical cord that comes over into the tropics and moves around the Earth over 24 hours. Just like this. Swing over and catch your moon. Because the sun is in here and the sun moves quicker than the moon. The sun, the Smoky Way, catches up to the moon. It laps the moon over 1 month. So the Milky Way will come over and cover the moon. What you're going to be hoping for is it covers the moon at full moon in your moon sign. This is a huge secret. No one ever spoken about this in this entire human cycle of man. Okay? You've only heard it here the first time in the world, okay? This is what happens. It's the whole Jesus story. Born in a manger. Enlightened when this Milky Way hits the moon. Now, some people are still querying this system where the inner centre of our realm, the vortex, turning, moves the whole southern hemisphere around, and they're looking for an alignment. It's just dawned on me, because I like when people ask me questions, because something opens up in my mind and I can find the answer sometimes just like that. Well, it just dawned on me, this is why we cannot, I've spoken a lot about alignments. So let's say it's the northern hemisphere star trail rotation. You've got a tropical gap, a celestial gap, then you have the southern rotation, right? And I've talked about this alignment, right to the centre. That alignment is your hour, man's hour, spoken of in the Bible, well, lots of esoteric stuff in religion. But this hour, I couldn't quite figure out why I can't easily see an alignment. I think we've sussed a few out, but anyway, basically the guts is, at that hour, the Milky Way is overhead, over there, covering it. And if you followed my earlier videos, I've spoken a lot about the overlay, the Milky Way being an overlay. I got this from the ancient Egyptians, like a lot of my stuff. It goes right back to Seti 1. It's all about overlays, the hieroglyphic, the what do you call them? The pictures are overlaid. Can't think of the word right now. But your hour is the Milky Way directly over, so you can't see any constellation or star alignments. They're buried in your hour with the Milky Way stars. So we do not live on the Milky Way. Get that in your head. The Milky Way is just like this, just a cord. Just like this, a cord. It's not splattered all over the place. The whole sky isn't the Milky Way. No, that is the Milky Way. And the sun is in there. You've seen the sun at night. It's called Sagittarius A. It's the back of the sun. So we need to get some astrophotographers out there. We've seen images from aeroplanes of the sun just sitting out there amongst the stars, because we're up above it basically, and you can see it just sitting in the stars. Clouds at night. It's very strange to understand that, but it looks like the sun's sitting in amongst the clouds, but nothing can be behind the sun. The sun, whenever you see it, it's actually the furthest thing away from us. So we've got good pictures showing us that sun, which is a good base to start with. What we need to do now is get up in the aeroplanes, you astrophotographers, and start filming Sagittarius A, the back of the Milky Way. Then you need to start thinking. During the day we see the sun, you can't see the Milky Way around it. It is all around it, you can't see it during the day, but as soon as it turns, because the sun's tucked into the Milky Way like this, it turns like this. Back vertically in here, reflected out into our realm, where we see it this way, don't we? So it's tucked in there and it turns. And then you're going to see Sagittarius A, that's the back of the sun. It's one of the first questions these flat earthers ask, because they're so indoctrinated. Like there was a relation of mine laughing at me when I was trying to tell these people, tell some of my family members, oh, how do you explain night and day and things like that. So I tried to explain it to them, but you can see they're not really listening. They're just too busy. You know, it's just ignorance. So it turns 24 hours. It turns in their whole 360 degrees over 24 hours. So we need to get good. As the sun disappears over the horizon, what comes up? Up comes the Milky Way. You start seeing the Milky Way, the sun, the age of Sagittarius A, coming up off the horizon, the eastern horizon. It's a no-brainer. Once you start understanding this model, it's all there. I mean, no Globie can debunk me. I'm not getting any guys talking crap on my channel much these days. So you get the old one come in and sort of politely say something stupid, but a real simple statement that can easily be dealt to, because I know the whole system. So realising the celestial alignment is covered by the Milky Way. Get out there at night, in the middle of the night, check out the Milky Way. You'll see it curving from the east, and in the middle of the night, like 12, 1, 2, 3, whenever, it'll tend to be at your zenith. It aims at the north, goes out to the south, whether in the northern or southern hemisphere. You'll see it's direct overhead. It comes straight and then it'll curl away again. So it curves, comes straight, then curls away again. So what we need to do, if you're in the northern hemisphere, is you take your star trail. We know what a star trail looks like, but then we need to take a time lapse on an equatorial mount or some sort of star tracking system, and all the stars in here, time lapse them. How far do they go? Now this is easy just looking at this picture. They won't wander outside this point here, but as we know, you look up at the night sky and it all just warps away. But we still have to figure out somehow how to determine this for 100% proof. So you need to track in time, or arc minutes, whatever degrees, excuse me, how far they drift to before they disappear. Because in our star trails, we know they go so far and disappear, because they're spiraling in. They're doing the spiral like this, you see. So they come out and then wind back in over the night. So you get a similar look in the southern hemisphere, because they're moving out and around. But they're not moving out. They're just spiraling in or spiraling out and in. But they're all going in the same direction. We need to show them it's not going as far as these ones here. They wander all the way around the flat earth over 24 hours. These do not. They'll go so far and disappear. They're not moving out, because this centre northern hemisphere is locked. It's locked in the northern vortex here, because our realm is out here. So imagine a donut. Northern hemisphere is locked in the centre. This is the one that moves all the way around. This just spirals around, down and in and up. See? Down and then back up again. Or up and back down again. If you don't understand this, watch it again. Watch it 3 times. It's quite simple. I think I've explained it quite well. You can't debunk it. It's our whole realm. It's our whole earthly system. Why else do you have a tropics? Why is there tropics on our flat earth map? Why does the field expand in that Gleason map? Because it's a toroidal field. The field expands, but the earth does not. The continents do not. Nothing expands if it's fixed to the earth. But you can take a rock, lift it up, head south, take it with you, it'll expand with you. But the earth itself does not. Aeroplanes, everything, whatever's around you will all expand as you move out. This is why you need that map to show you the expansion, because the continents are stretched, but they're according to the arcs of longitude, aren't they? With latitude, longitude. But because it's all relative to the observer, then you can revert back to the Mercator map or something, because everything's parallel. So, the Gleason map's like this, but all this is all relative to the observer. It's all the same. Say 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there to get from there to there, 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 there. Because you've expanded. You have also expanded with this field. But the earth itself hasn't. That's what the Bible says. Earth is fixed and stationary. It doesn't say, hey mate, everything over it isn't though. Only the earth. Only the earth is fixed. So you get from A to B on any latitude the same time in arcs of longitude. All relative to the observer on the latitude. So, I don't know why. I don't follow the YouTube channels. Now and then I'll see something. But I haven't seen anyone talk about this stuff. They're not, and if you guys do see it, tag me in somehow, or show me what's going on, whether people are doing it. Because it's a good thing, obviously, because we've got the whole model here. All we need is finance, someone to fund the whole model. No one's jumping on board to say, hey, I can 3D that, or even 2D, all that for you, and computer imaging. And no one's come forward to, hey, make a decent donation and have the model made. For probably about 30,000 Kiwi dollars, we could actually make the toroidal field, the dome, the donut type clear acrylic system with the turning centre. You have a vortex in here that turns, reflecting the light out into the rest of the donut. So, have a look here. I mean, even if they don't get me to do it, and someone just goes off and does it themselves, or some other side, I don't know. People who know how to organise money. There's your donut. We have the centre turning, and as it's reflecting some images out, and turning, the image is moving around here. But you have to have this centre part right out to the tropical region, right out to here, spirals right out to there, out to the tropics, equator. This is the turning part, the part that turns. And that's what's reflecting its light out all the way around. There's the tropics, equator, reflecting the image out all the way around here as it turns. So you're basically making some big thing like this. You don't need the whole donut. You can have a flat base, but this part here is what turns. Separated from these two parts, turns. And when you paint this black, you don't have to paint that one black, I don't think. To paint this part black on the outside, all these images here that will actually be black